Hey guys, it's Erica Galinas with the Mike McCaddy Group at Century 21 affiliated here for our weekly Ask the Agent segment. This week we're going to focus on buyers and a question I get a lot, which is how long is it going to take to close? Meaning, if we put an offer and it gets accepted on this house today, how soon do we get the keys and can we move in? So it's pretty straightforward, but unfortunately it's also open sometimes all these different little things that can happen. So we're going to kind of go through the process a little bit and try to identify, can we close sooner? Is it going to be delays? Those kinds of things. So basically, the first question that matters for when will we close is how are you buying it? Are you getting a mortgage or are you paying cash? There are certain things that go along with the contract that most buyers do. They have a home inspection, they have to get an appraisal, and they have to get title work. They don't have to do any of those things. I obviously highly recommend them, and you're going to see them in 99.9% of the time. But those are the three: home inspections, appraisal, and title work. So we know obviously home inspections about the condition. The appraisal is for either the bank or the buyer to know that what they're paying for the property, it's worth it. So if you're paying $1 million and it appraises at $500,000, you're now paying $500,000 more than you need to. And then title work. So this is something that the seller usually provides. It tells you that the sellers have the right to deed the property to you, and it makes sure that you don't have any other liens on the property that, if you buy it and 10 years from now you find out you owe, a medical bill of $1,000, that's not really yours. So those are the three things. With a cash buyer, oftentimes you won't get an appraisal. They certainly have the option to do so. They don't always get the appraisal, so we don't really have to wait for an appraiser, another third party to come in and do anything. A lot of times they will have a home inspection. That is usually taken care of in, the first week, maybe something like that. It's basically the first step of a real estate transaction, so that doesn't put it out too far. And then the title work, if the seller's agent or the seller's a good seller or agent, they're ordering the title work immediately upon getting that accepted offer. So again, that should take a week to 10 days, barring any weird problems or anything like that. So with a cash offer, which you're usually looking at, just to make sure those things are appraisal and title are worked in there, you're probably looking at, say, 3 weeks, let's just say. Obviously, not everything happens that quickly. Most people are moving, forward in the way that they should. Some people get distracted sometimes, we'll put it that way. But with cash offer, you're basically looking at about three weeks to 30 days at the most. If you're not paying cash, which most of my buyers don't have, $100,000 lying around in a bank account or something like that, you're getting a mortgage. So at that point, you're putting another party into the transaction, which is fine. Most lenders are fine. You shouldn't have any problems, but you do have to wait and depend on another, lender representative and their company to do all of the things that they have to do. So one of those things is, they got to look at your tax returns. They're going to get copies of your credit report. They're going to have questions about different things. Those usually take place at the same time we're doing the home inspection. So that's usually that first 10 to 14 days of a transaction. We're taking care of home inspections. We are taking care of, the lender's initial requests. Also, again, the seller's agent should have ordered title work, and that should be done by the time all of those things are done, identifying any problems, giving us time to take care of them. What most lenders usually get hung up on is the appraisal. So after the real estate mortgage meltdown, blah, 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 all these appraisers are now like independent appraisers, and these banks basically just have a lottery system. They put it into the system, it spits back an appraiser's name, bank contacts the appraiser goes out to the property, writes the appraisal, sends it back, from beginning to end, it probably takes, 2 weeks. However, we are so busy, and apparently there's not enough appraisers in the system, that I've had appraisals now taking 3 and 4 weeks to come back. And that's when they have been ordered at the beginning of the transaction. So for mortgages, it has been my experience that the big timeline breaker is this appraisal coming back. Obviously, the appraisal should come back fine, no problems. If it doesn't, then now we're adding more time and different things there. I would say that a standard transaction with no problem, big problems on the home inspection, no big problems on the title work, and the regular appraisal guidelines, I'm writing my contracts to close about 45 days from the day that we go under contract. And that seems to work, for everybody. It gives people plenty of time to move. It gives buyers plenty of time to set up what they're going to do. It gives the mortgage company time to get the information they need, get the appraisals ordered. Everything kind of works. Not always. Particularly over this past year, because we've been so busy, I have had more extensions on closing my contracts than I've ever had in my entire career. The main one that's causing these delays is, like I said, this appraisal problem, which is a problem, with the bank. Not really with the bank, but it is part of that bank process. I've had some transactions be delayed on closing by 2 or 3 weeks because either the appraisal's taking too long or, you know what, somebody's dragging their feet. It can be extraordinarily frustrating as a buyer that when you are getting these delays and there are no answers for you. So if you end up in this situation, the person responsible for getting those answers to you is your real estate agent. It could be something totally innocent. The appraisal is taking forever. Like, we have 18 inches of snow that fell today. We got to put it off till next week. Like, there's all kinds of rational things that could happen. There's also some, screwing around that people do. People aren't paying attention to their files. I've had, stuff not get ordered, either an appraisal or something else, for weeks because somebody just wasn't paying attention. So here's the deal. If you're having these kind of delays, there is an answer for why. There may not be anything you can do about it. In most cases, there's absolutely zero. It's outside your control. There's nothing you can do. But you deserve to have an answer for why it's being delayed. You don't have to be happy about it. You don't have to, stomp away and say, forget it, I'm not buying the house or whatever. But you deserve to know what the delay is. You certainly, again, these delays generally come with the banks. You contact your loan officer and you say, what the hell is going on? You contact your real estate agent, make sure they're in the loop. But I'll tell you what, your agent should have been on top of this already. I will say that there are probably a number of loan officers and title company people out there that don't like me very much because we have a contract date that we are supposed to close. Delays happen. Everybody knows this. Again, I need to know why. Is there anything I can do about it? I need to be able to explain it to my client as to what's going on. I need to know what's going on so I can keep tabs on, the other agent that isn't doing something they need to do, or this loan officer that appears to not be paying attention to what the hell is going on, and we're all just standing here waiting. Delays are absolutely part of the process. Hopefully they won't be as prevalent over this next year as they have been, but there is always a reason for those delays, and it is up to your real estate agent to get people on the telephone until you figure out what the problem is. Again, may not have a solution, but your agent should be able to tell you what the problem is, even if your loan officer can't. And like I said, there's lots of people out there that got sick of getting my phone calls, but I got those answers for my client. On the flip side, what can happen sometimes is that everything's awesome. You get all your paperwork in on time. The appraiser, happens to live next door and does the appraisal right away. And the title work's just beautiful and nice and clean and no issues at all. And you're supposed to close by, I'll make up a date, April 30th, but you get the clear to close by April 10th, which is awesome. You may not still be able to close before April 30th. The way the contracts are written in Indiana, it says that both parties have to agree to close early. You can close early, but everybody has to agree. A lot of times people agree. They know they're selling a house. Obviously, you're buying a house. So everybody's kind of working towards that closing eventuality the whole time. But for sometimes it may not be possible. The sellers may be closing on another property that they're purchasing, which, they have to wait to get the keys to that one before they can give you the keys to this one. It may be some other issue with the sellers that they, are having an estate sale on the 20th, and so they're not going to move their stuff out before then or whatever. They are not required to close any earlier than the contract says. Again, most people try to do the best that they can, but sometimes it just doesn't happen. The other problem that can happen with early closings is that everybody's on board. It's awesome. You still have to wait for the title company to have the ability to get you in for a closing. So there's a number of, I don't want to say last minute paperwork, but paperwork that the title company does at the end in terms of getting information from the bank and who's paying what and how much everything is, and these pro rata tax calculations. And so there's all these different things they have to do in this, week, half a week before this closing date is supposed to happen. So I've never had a closing company answer in the affirmative that they can get, oh yeah, we can totally close tomorrow, no problem. It's literally impossible. So you may have a situation where you're supposed to close on April 30th, you got the clear to close on April 10th, but you're still closing on April 15th or April 20th in order to accommodate the schedule of the title companies. I've also had to twist some arms on getting closings on the calendar. It is another good reason to have an agent that has experience, because they usually have, you know, a secret phone number for a title rep, or, you know, just a little bit of flout. I mean, I send all my title orders to your company. I think you can kind of pull some strings if we need to get this one done. Not every unexperienced agent has those things. Experienced agents are more likely to have them. But that is the other thing that, again, completely outside of your control. You can't close early because the title company can't fit you in yet. The only other thing, I mean, your agent, if it gets ridiculous, you know, again, there's always an answer for why these delays happen. So, you know, the appraisal's not back yet. You know, that's not anybody's fault. The title work is an issue. This happens more than you'd think. There's some kind of lien, or there's some kind of old divorce that never got taken care of. Most of those things can be taken care of with, you know, a couple pieces of paper and a notary kind of thing. Your agent should be able to advise you as to whether or not two things. A, if it's taking too long, like I said, it sucks. A week or 2 week delay is kind of the norm right now, which is unacceptable, but there's not a whole lot anybody can do about it. Or if it's going to take 4 more months, or, you know, here's what the problem is, your agent should be able to know and have the experience to say, you know, I've had problems like this in the past, or I've talked to other agents about this. In order to fix this lien problem or this deed problem on the title work, they're going to have to do a quiet title action, and they're going to have to file this paper with the court. It's a minimum 30 days. Then you got to get a, you know, motion for summary judgment, blah, 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 blah. At that point, maybe you want to think about backing out. Again, it depends on your motivation and your time frames and the market and all kinds of things. But your agent, while not an attorney and cannot give you legal advice, should have the XP to let you know when something is taking far too long or perhaps seems impossible to solve. But again, it is up to them to find out what is going on and to explain those things to you. So if you're not sure, you need to talk to your agent. The extension, if you do extend a delay, whether it's, you know, a day or two or 6 months or whatever you guys decide, there is a signed extension that has to take place. There is technically a signed amendment that has to be signed if you close early. Again, your agent will be able to provide you with these forms, and you sign them, you know, obviously read them, but they're pretty straightforward. Sometimes what happens with closing dates, you know, everybody wants the same thing. You know, agents don't get paid unless you close. Title companies don't get paid unless you close. You know, buyers don't get houses and sellers don't get checks unless everybody closes. So everybody is generally working towards the same thing. If you have an agent that doesn't seem to be responding to your questions, or doesn't seem to be concerned that the closing date is tomorrow and you guys still don't have a clear to close, or you guys still don't have, you know, an amendment or a document from the title company or something like that, you need to make sure your agent is doing their job. It is absolutely part of an agent's job to guide you through the process from when you get a contract to when you close. There's no point at which your agent's like, oh, not my problem anymore. That's not how it works. Even if you have an attorney representing you, your agent should be in the loop well enough to tell you what's going on and what, you know, the next steps are. Whether it's wait and see, or whether it's I got to go yell at somebody on the phone, or whatever the next step is, your agent should be involved enough to tell you what that is. If that is not happening, you need to make that clear to them that you're confused and you don't know what's going on. Again, agents can't fix everything. The answer may be, hey, I asked your question. The answer is still the same as it was, and we have to wait. That's okay. That's not the agent's fault. But they need to be engaged enough in the process to know what's going on and be able to tell that to you. So, too long, didn't read. When do I close? It depends. Cash buyers, usually within 21 to 30 days. Mortgage buyers, usually within 30 to 45 days. However, maybe there's a delay. Maybe you can close early. Again, that is why your agent is such an integral part of the whole process. You know, their job is to make sure you understand everything that's happening. If you need an agent, I happen to know one. Oh, I didn't put up my sign. Obviously, Erica Kalina's telephone number 219-765-2062. You can call or text me anytime. If you want to email me, my email address is hsbyerica@gmail.com. Stands for Home Sales by Erica. You can send me a DM here. You can comment below on the video. You know, whichever way is easiest to get a hold of me. I'm happy to help. Again, I'm real low pressure. So if you just have a question and you don't want an agent contacting you every day for the rest of your natural life, feel free to contact me. I'm always happy to help. Thanks, guys. I will be back next Tuesday with a market update on Crown Point, both Winfield and Center Township. And then I'll be back next Thursday for Ask the Agents. Thanks, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.